I grew up in the city. I've lived here my entire life. I never even heard of the Brooklyn Army Terminal. So when I first came into the building, pretty legitimately jaw-dropping like sight when you walk into the atrium of this building. Lowercase is about bringing eyewear manufacturing back to the United States. Essentially, 0% of manufacturing of eyewear is done in the United States. There are a handful of manufacturers, but on a percentage basis, when you look at the global economy, it's less than 0.01% of volume. Manufacturing can be done in a different manner in the US that will allow us to compete against processes or price points that maybe weren't as reasonable in the 70s and the 80s.
We have a really kind of open feedback loop, being able to do the design and the manufacturing in-house. And so, early on when we were going through the prototypes and we were putting out the collection, we were getting feedback from our customers, from our designers, and we're able to take that and make changes very quickly, which is really great. So we can get prototypes out, get tests out, really allow the feedback that we're getting from the designs to get brought back into our process very quickly.
My life before Lowercase was always in finance. When I graduated college, I started at Goldman Sachs. Post Goldman Sachs, I went to work at my first hedge fund. It was really a break in my finance career that had me step back and do a reevaluation of whether I wanted to continue down the finance path or explore something new. So I thought about going back to school, I thought about different career opportunities. And throughout my life, when I started wearing glasses, I just slowly had built this collection of eyewear, not purposefully, but I just ended up with kind of a wide breadth of options. The cliche saying of, do something you really enjoy. So I was like, let me just do some basic digging into what the industry is about, how it's set up, and that maybe there is a spot for me in this world. And so to me, it was really apparent early on that I saw what I thought was a hole in the market for a locally made product. And in an era where I feel like consumers have become a lot more interested in where things are made, how they're made, the process in which they're made, whether you look at farm-to-table restaurants or alcohol production in the US that's become more localized. There seemed to be a product missing in that niche for eyewear.
I think we're in a really unique position, having both design and manufacturing under one roof, to be in a position to exploit the production process in terms of what our designs look like and feel like. Being a manufacturer can inform design, and design can inform manufacturing. And so I think we'll be able to get some really interesting products out.
We worked with the New York City Economic Development Corporation to find a space that would fit for us. They looked amongst their properties to see what would best fit our requirements. And this was actually the first space we ended up seeing, and it ended up being the space we ended up in. It's really an inspiring place to come to work every day, not only for the architecture of the building, but the other tenants that the NYC EDC has kind of been able to get to position their efforts here. It's like a very organic incubator. As many defeats as there were along the way, and there were lots, there are just as many victories. When we cut our first pair of fronts, not glasses, literally just the shape on a small CNC machine about this big, you feel like you're king of the world. But it's that kind of consistent building on where you see the quality improving and the process becoming more consistent that you can have confidence in it, as opposed to like, this feels like a lucky shot that we got something to come out like this. Having that first foundation of consistency and confidence was really what was kind of like a huge high, I think, for both of us.
Ideas are cheap, building something's really hard. That's kind of something that I try and keep in mind when we're doing this, that it's really easy to come up with the idea, but taking that step into actually executing on it is a really difficult step to take. But once you do, everything starts to fall into place.